Hi, how you doing? I'm doing great, and today we're doing a new kind of like format because if you haven't noticed, I haven't posted a movies I watched this month video in a while for like the sole reason that I have not really been watching a lot of movies. And then I also it's time to do like my quarterly like show check-in video like of shows I watched. But the problem is in like the middle of August I switched to serialized to like keep track of what I'm watching, which means I kind of like not started anew, but I don't have as clear of a record anymore of what I was watching from like my previous app. Like dates are all a bit mixed up from for like July and like the first half of August, so I do not know exactly what I watched this quarter. So instead, I thought I just, throw out July and August, who cares about them? And instead, just do a new format in which I talk about everything I watched in a month, shows and movies, especially because Serialize has this fun function that the previous app I used didn't have, which is so I can review like episodes or seasons and stuff like that and keep track of that very neatly. So I review per season on Serialize. I know some people do per episode or like once they finish the show. I do it once I finish a season because that's the most fun for me. So what this video will be is in the first bit we'll have a review for every season of a show I watched this month. Then the second section will be the shows I'm currently in the middle of, so I'm watching but I don't have like properly locked yet because I'm not finished with the season. I'll just quickly go over those, and then lastly we'll be doing the movies I watched this month because I only watched 3. Other months like the order might be switched around a little bit depending on what I watched the most, but this is what we're doing for September. So yeah, let's just start off with the shows I watched, the seasons I watched. Starting off with Kim Possible season 1. This was a rewatch for me. I delved back into the world of childhood rewatches. I took a little break there. The last one I watched is This Week Live on Deck, and I finished that a couple of months ago. But I decided to delve into the world of cartoons, and I adored Kim Possible growing up. So I was very excited to revisit it, especially because, the Disney Channel, like, live action shows like with the Really Place, Anyone a Chance, like the Sweet Life series, which I have rewatched, and like Hannah Montana. I have very clear memories of those episodes. I remember those really well. When it comes to Kim Possible, that's not the case. So it's been fun revisiting it, but sadly enough, I only ended up giving the season 2 stars because I don't know, I think it's a bit boring. It's not that interesting, it's not that captivating to me, and even though I do have fun while watching it, it's not like bad. I feel like none of the episode plots really stick out to me in my memory. So like it's fine mostly for like background watches. I watch it a lot while I'm doing other stuff, but I don't know. It's just not as good as I remembered. Maybe it is later episodes that I remember fondly, I don't know, but I wasn't the biggest fan of this, I'm sorry. And then I also finished Criminal Minds season 11, which I gave 2 stars to, but like the last little bit of Criminal Minds here. And honestly also we have arrived at like the first major loss in the show with like an actor leaving. With season 11, here's the thing. We have had some leaves throughout the show, but like typically those characters are around for like 2-3 seasons, maybe 1, so those haven't really had that much of an impact to me as much as I have missed some characters. Like Gideon and Elle will always be 2 of my favorites, no matter what other people may say. So those I also like felt, but not, wasn't as deep. And then I knew one leaf was coming back, so that never also hit that hard with me. But now this is like the first proper absentee, and it hurt. It did, it really did. I'm wasn't a big fan of that, but I do really like how the characters written out of the show. I won't say the name in case you don't know, but I do think the way that character was written out was very realistic, and I do like that. We also have the addition of Tara this season, who I just immediately fell in love with. I feel like this late in the game, new characters can be a bit hit or miss for me, and they have to like grow on me typically. But like Tara I was in love with from like her first episode. Her introduction was killer and I just loved it. But like this season just was a bit weak to me. We do have some great team moments, but overall I just feel like it had a lot of like lame cases, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite. I do have to say, like the peak episodes in this season are like peak show, just like in general. I do have to say that like there are some episodes in here that are just like the best of the entire show, but like all the rest is just so bad that I don't know. it's a 2-star for me. Then I also watched Scam Can Fuck Himself season 2. I watched season 1 at the very end of August, and in September I just binge watched season 2 in like one day. And I started watching it because it popped up on my feed everywhere. Everybody would seem to be watching it, which I learned that this was added to Netflix in the US, so that explains it. But I was just so curious about it and I decided to watch it. And honestly, at first I wasn't sure about it because this is not like my typical show. But then when I thought of it, it's kind of like a genre bend sitcom in a way, and a commentary on sitcom in a way that kind of reminds me of WandaVision, which I also love. I mean, they're very different show, tackling very different things. When it comes to just being kind of a dissection of sitcom in a way, with WandaVision more being a love letter to sitcom, and then this being a critique of sitcom in a way, those like they seem like the same genre. And I don't know, when I first heard about the show I was like, this is absolutely not like my typical kind of thing, but then I thought of it in the sense of like it is kind of in the same genre defined way as WandaVision. I was like, maybe I should have seen coming, and I love this because I did. This season is a 4-star for me just because I feel like this was a bit weaker than season 1 overall. I just think, I don't know, I do feel like this got better at the eerie tone of it all. Like it got very creepy at times, like generally I had my heart racing a little bit. And also because it starts to span more characters than just a main character, you feel it, like the bubble is starting to burst, and it's so palatable and so well executed. The stakes also, I feel like, were up so much throughout the season compared to the first one. I just feel like the first season was like really tight. I feel like it combined like the drama and that sitcomness really well, and both sides were equally as strong. Where I feel like in this season the B plots, which were the sitcom plots, just felt very, very weak in my opinion. It's not the worst, but like compared to the first season it's just very weak. So therefore I don't know, it didn't fully convince me. But I do have to say this is also the final season of the show. It was meant this way, and I was very nervous on if the show was gonna stick its landing, because honestly, I do have to say this could have easily just went one bump. As torn as the show is, that finale could have been really hard to pull off, but they did it, and they did it in such a brilliant way, and I'm still like reeling over because it's done so well. And I highly recommend you go watch the show if you haven't. Like honestly, do yourself a favor, it's so good. Then I have to say I have 3 more seasons to talk about, and all 3 of them are Criminal Minds seasons, so apologies, but I'm so close to the end that I've been like trying to get through it. So you know, as much as I don't want it to end, you know, I have been focusing on maybe trying to finish it. But yeah, the next season I watched is Criminal Minds season 12, which was another 2-star season for me. I just thought this was boring. This has the prison storyline. Fans will know what I'm talking about. I didn't like it. I don't know what the consensus is. I feel like before I watched this season, I saw a lot of people rave about the prison storyline. Since I watched this season, I say a lot of people talk negatively about it. So I don't know what the overall fan consensus is. I'm gonna say that I thought it was really boring. So I wasn't the biggest fan of it, especially because it is combined with a lot of boring cases in my opinion. I feel like the writers of the show try to focus on the prison storyline and therefore aren't putting as much details into like the unsub cases that go like I mean, the prison storyline is technically the B plot of those episodes, but like, you know, the case of the week in those episodes just gets very, very boring. This season also introduces Luke, who this was a character that did grow on me a little, but that's because Penelope Garcia is my baby and I adore her. So he won my favor once he won Penelope's favor. Like, you know, I was on her side to all of this. But I do have to say I love that dynamic so much, and it's a ship. It really is. I shipped him so much. There was also another guy that was new in the season. I already forgot his name, but because I thought he was such a bland character. I don't know what the concept was with him. But my main problem with this season is that a lot of it focuses on Mr. Scratch, which is like a longer running unsub. I'm not gonna tell you more about it again in case of spoilers. And I know he's a very beloved kind of like, not beloved as in people like his character, but beloved as in people like the storyline or think he's like a creepy unsub. It's longer running unsub, and I thought he was such a bore, and I really didn't understand this connection with like the team, like why he was going after them. I feel like that could have been developed much better, and And I do think part of that is because again in this season another actor leaves, and the way that character was written off, don't talk to me about it, it was horrible. I know that behind the scenes stuff were going on and that's probably why, but it was just a disservice to fans how this character was written off. It's abysmal. But that being said, I feel like Mrs. Scratch was very tied to that character, and once that character left, it felt like Mrs. Scratch was just like in this zero zone where he was still going after our team, but like his reasoning was gone, so it felt odd. So I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of that storyline, and again I also wasn't a fan of the prison storyline, which were like the two big ones this season. So I never hated Criminal Minds season. I don't think I'll ever rate one star, but like it wasn't it. And then we move to Criminal Minds season 13, of course, which was a 3-star. We did go up a star. I did like this season more than the previous two, just for the very reason that I feel like the show kind of got its groove back. I feel like it struggled a little bit in these past couple of seasons. First with just being a bit stale with going on for so long, it kind of like started to feel stale a little, and then there was a lot of like group changes with actors leaving, new actors coming in, and I feel like it kind of struggled kind of like trying to balance that new group dynamic there as well. But I feel like though it's like the second half of this season, this show really had it down for this team, and I have no complaints. I love their dynamics. I do think they're going very hard on like the family aspect of it, which is a bit cringe. Like, you know, our team has always been family, we know that, but in earlier seasons it was never really said. Now almost every episode is like, we're family. I'm like, okay, we get it. It feels a bit cringe, but for the rest I love the dynamics together, and I feel like we figured it out, and I love each of the characters as well. We get another new character in this one. The blind guy from last season gets replaced by a more interesting guy, so I feel like we have a new dynamic that just works really well, and I just feel like we figured it out this season, you know? And then but case-wise, I still feel like this one has a lot of like boring ones. A lot of interesting concepts in this season that don't always get realized to its full potential in my opinion. But it was a fun season. I flew through it, and like whenever we had storylines that involved kind of like our characters' personal lives, I really enjoyed them as well. There was even a Wasi storyline in this season that I loved, which is very rare. As much as I like Wasi as a character, like episodes that focus on him, I always think I was so boring. And there were a couple in here that I did really like, so that's something. And honestly, a peak finale. Like the finale of this season was incredible. And then I went into season 14 with the most hype anyone could ever have, and this was another 2-star for me. I just feel like this one is one of the shortest seasons, the last 2 seasons of like the main show before when it originally got cut off, and then it got the evolution subtitle. So those last 2 seasons are shorter. I feel like I believe this is 15, and then the last season is 10 episodes. And even though this was shorter than a typical season, it felt like such a slog to get through in my opinion. It really did not hit. Like I thought we were back, we were not. And I do have to say again, group dynamics are still great. I still love them, but it just feel like when it comes to the cases, it wasn't that interesting. I feel like it's locked, and it was just, I don't know, it was a struggle bus to get through in a little bit. And my last line of this review is, someone needs to get Luke and Penelope together. Those two just belong together. Still stand by that. So yeah, those are all the like full seasons I watched in September. So let's just quickly go through my currently watching list. We're starting off with some shows that I'm technically caught up on, but we're in the middle of the season. It's still airing, it's being released, so that's all I have. Starting off with Milo season 2. As you have been on my channel, you know, I absolutely adored season 1, and the summer break was way too long for me, even though it was only 2 months. But we're back with season 2, and I'm so hyped about it. I'm loving it. So there we go, again, up to date with it. Then we have Only Murders in a Building season 4. I love the show. I think season 4 is absolutely peak, adoring it, and I can't wait to see it continue. And then also we have Taskmaster series 18. Oh, this season is so good. The last couple of seasons have been a bit mid to me. This one I'm laughing my ass off every single episode so far, and again, can't wait to see this continue. And then new ones that I've started, and there are also new shows. We have English Teacher, which is on its first season, and I saw a lot of people talking about this online, so I was curious about it, checked it out. It's hilarious, it's really fun, definitely recommend. And again, I'm having fun watching this. And then of course I'm also watching Agatha All Along. I'm loving this so much as well. It's giving me all the WandaVision vibes, but in a different way. Like it's a very different show, but it's still, you can definitely feel it's like the same kind of like story, if that makes sense. I'm loving this so much, and actually, when I'm filming this, a new episode drops and I can't wait to watch it, but that's for October. And then we have all the other shows that I'm currently watching. I did do like a pilot night one evening with a couple of shows that I've been wanting to watch for a while, and just watched the first episode of them to kind of like see if they are my thing or not. And for that, I watched Reservation Dogs, which I don't know how to feel about it yet. It's only one episode that I've seen, of course, but I'm feeling a bit mixed on it. It is giving me on my block vibes a little bit, but of course very different. So I don't know. I probably will continue with this, but I'm not crazy about it yet. Then I also watched the first episode of The Bear, which I really wasn't the biggest fan of. Like, I am still curious to continue on with it because it is such a beloved show, but like that first episode just really wasn't my thing, so I don't know if I'll like it. And then we have Extraordinary, which I really enjoyed. It's a superhero story, and I definitely want to get back to this one. I thought it was so funny. And then the one I did actually continue with is Single Parents. And this is actually the one I have heard most recently about, also the least about. So I was a bit hesitant about this, but it is fun. It's a sitcom about a bunch of single parents. I'm still like in the middle of season 1 somewhere. It's not the best, but it is a very fun watch, and I don't know. It is a blast to just have on when I'm doing other stuff, when I'm eating, like stuff like that. So I'm making my way through. It's only 2 seasons, so I'll fly through it hopefully. And then when it comes to all the other shows, we have Kim Possible season 2, of course. I'm going through this slowly as well again whenever I have things to do. This is also a really long season. I believe that's like 30 episodes, so it's taken a while. Then we have The Cotmanam season 12. They have stopped airing this, so I don't know when I'll continue with it because you can't find it anywhere else to watch except when it's on TV, but they stopped. So yeah, I did watch a couple of episodes this season though because they were still going. Then we have FC de Kampioenen, we're on season 2. They are only in the summer we had everyday reruns. Now we are on to every Saturday, so this is gonna go a bit slower, but I am watching it still because I love it. Then I started rewatching it Huis Anubis with my mom, the Dutch version. Obviously, if you don't know, if you are a big House of Anubis fan from like the US UK version, this is the original. And I grew up with this and I adore it. So yeah, I started rewatching this with my mom. It's probably gonna go pretty slowly, but I am again loving it so much. And then I'm on Criminal Minds season 15 as well, which is the last of like the main show, like the original show. So I'm a bit sad, but that's happening. So yeah, and that brings us to the 3 movies I watched this month. I told you I haven't really been watching movies a lot. So yeah, the first one I watched is Elemental, which came in 2023, and I gave 5 stars to. This I actually wanted to watch when it first was released on streaming, but I don't know, I've been putting it off. Even though I've only heard amazing things about this movie, like everybody that I've seen talk about it has been like, I know it like marketing is horrible, but like this movie is actually pretty good, go watch it. And I agree, it is a pretty decent movie. It's not like the best, but I did really enjoy it. I think it's just a great love story, and I love the animation. I feel like just the way the water and fire was animated in this is just stunning, and just like in movement and everything, I loved it. It's not like a unique or like special story. I feel like it's a standard of 2 worlds romance, but it was a lot of fun, and it definitely isn't getting the credit that it deserves, if that makes sense. And then I also watched Child Star, which came 2024. I didn't rate this because I just felt weird rating it, but I watched this because this is Demi Lovato's new documentary. It's about being a child star, and she interviews a bunch of different child stars. And then there's also some like experts who are talking about basically the history of being a child star, and also that aspect to it I could have done without. I feel like this is the strongest. Well, it just focuses on these people's experiences and kind of like seeing like these different connections between these people where you wouldn't normally think that this is like a result of being a child star, but like all of them have had this to a certain extent, and it's very interesting in that aspect. And whenever it like ventured off into like, I call it the history of child starism, but it's a bit more complicated than that. But whenever it went into like this experts kind of like thing and everything, I just feel like it kind of lost me a little bit, and it made for this documentary to feel a little bit disjumbled to me. And then lastly, I watched Gabrielle Le Kattenprins, which in 2007. I give 2 to 5 stars to the rewatch. I decided to rewatch all of the Katri movies before the new ones come out, so I rewatched this one. It was next on the docket, and I don't know, I don't love this one as much. I do think it's still iconic. There's a lot of aspects to it that I really love, and some moments that will forever stick in my brain, but it is a little bit boring. But yeah, it was a fun rewatch. That's where it ends. And that's all I have for you today already. I am so sorry. But I hope you like this new format. Let me know in the comments if you watched any of these things, what you thought of them, some of the things you watched in September, and hopefully I'll see you around again in October, which I always have a lot of spooky plans for October. We also have some stuff coming out in October that I'm really excited about, so hopefully I'll have a lot of exciting things to talk to you about. We'll see, and yeah, bye.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should've